Okay, good evening. I'd like to welcome you to this town hall meeting sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Athens County. Before we get started, I have a couple of announcements. This is the third informational meeting sponsored by the Athens League for this year's general election. The final voter forum for Athens City School Board candidates will be on Tuesday, October 29th at 6:30 at the public library. I also would like to say that early voting is available now, and if you need those hours, that's available on the website of the Athens County League, the Athens League of Women Voters.org over here. In the next week or so, the Athens Messenger will be pinning the voter guide for this election. The guide will be at the public libraries, the OU Library, Baker Center, the regular places that it's at. It's also available online over here. So tonight's meeting is specifically about electric aggregation, which has been placed on the November ballot countywide as issue 2, and in Athens City as issue 3. The League has asked representatives from both the city, which is our mayor, Paul Weil, and the county, Commissioner Chris Schmiel, to give a presentation on aggregation, followed by a question and comment period. We have this meeting room only until 8 o'clock, so we're going to ask audience members to limit themselves to 3 minutes for questions and comments so that everyone has a chance to be heard. And I'll turn it over to Elizabeth Holden.
Thank you, Dana. Well, we're here to hear about electric aggregation, and so let me introduce to you Mayor of Athens, Honorable Paul Weil. Paul?
I thought you were going to say some more. Okay, a couple things. First of all, we do have a brochure that we put out. It's in the back, on the back table there, so we'll give you some indications of basic questions. We have a PowerPoint actually put together by Jessica DeMore. She did it gratis as an assistant to us. She approached us and said, I know a little bit about it. We want to help out, and it was a good citizen effort to do this. So as a disclaimer, I am a member of the League of Women Voters, and I urge you to be a member too. Do you want to cover anything? Do I double team this or just go along here? Okay. This is, as I say, it's put together. We'll cover some of the basics, and then we'll proceed on from there. See, first one, of course, what is municipal aggregation, but actually aggregation in general. This allows us to pool, as I say, we're going to go for buying power. We're working together with the county. I'll let you read that. I think one of the worst things you can do is read PowerPoint. Essentially, it gives us buying power. Right now, you can purchase as an individual where your energy supply is, your electrical supply is coming from. You can also do it with gas. The concept there, of course, is that you can negotiate this. But again, as a single purchaser, you're limited to how much you can actually negotiate. There are a good, I think maybe 20 brokers, 20 authorized suppliers of energy. So again, the idea is to obtain a lower price with more people. We have about 64,000. You want to push the buttons? I'll have Chris push the buttons. And if you want to speak and I can push the buttons, I have no problem with that. Okay, so we want to put on the referendum. Actually, it's an initiative, but it is on the ballot because it's what is called an opt-out system. As a aggregate purchaser of energy, both city and county, individually or even a township, we can have two different systems. We can say opt-in. In other words, we ask all of you to actively participate. In other words, write us a letter, do us a form, say you want to be in our system. The other way to do it is an opt-out, where you actively have to say, I don't want to be in that system. You can see there's a code here, a higher res code, 4928. That gives us the authority to do so. Am I missing anything?
Started in 1999 in Ohio, and all municipalities have the authority to aggregate in Ohio. A lot of other counties and cities around the state have already adopted this and are saving money and doing other things.
With that in mind, again, it's the buying, purchasing power we're trying for. What else do I need to add here? So the opt-out is really what has to, because it's opt-out and actively you have to disengage from this aggregation, that's why it has to go to the ballot. That's it, that's the choice that goes as the voters of the county and the city. Referendum, I will appear on the ballot. We know that already. We have authorized an ordinance, which was 9913, I believe. Some of the things that have to be placed is we have two required public hearings, but I suspect we'll have more, just because I know that everyone wants to be informed along the way.
Paul, could you slow down?
Okay, I can slow down. Sorry. Sorry, I talked too much.
He's excited.
I'm excited, yes. Essentially, we'll have to put something in place. Both operations, governance with the county will have to end up with an agreement between the county and the city of how we want to arrange this. We'll put out a bid. I always think of it as a request for proposals, which we do for many large dollar amount acquisitions. Both the county does that and the city does that as a process, public process. That bid process would, of course, be whatever we want to build into it. The duration, the quality of the electricity, the amount we expect, and the pricing that we would like to see. They'll go out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, we'll go out there and then we'll take some feedback. We'll get somebody coming in and says, yes, I've got a bargain for you. Agreement contract, the opt-out process would, of course, be when we inform everybody, we've got a package deal. We're going to let you know what that package deal is. We're going to give you time to figure out if you want to be in the pool or out of the pool. Does that make sense? Okay. The button pusher. There you go. Competitive bid process. Okay. Bid rates compared. You can actually go to the PUCO site and look as an individual, the apples to apples. Just you put in apples to apples and you're going to get a comparison of what the present costs are between the different providers of electricity. Again, this is just for the generation of electricity. There'll be a portion of your bill. If you look at your electric bill, I don't know if any of you thought about it and looked at it, you'll see a generation, transmission, distribution, probably demand charges, tax, and you know, and how much you spent at that time. But really it's for that portion of that. Favorable bid received, written notice we sent. I actually think I have a PDF in there of Hocking County, somewhere in my, not listed PowerPoint possession file, but another one, of what the opt-out form looks for First Energy up in Hocking County. Hocking County has this process for 2 townships, I think. Okay. Contract, we decide what the contract is going to be. 1 year, 3 years, etc. Question, John.
Is this a situation where you choose only a single alternative energy supplier, or might you contract with multiple?
Good question. I imagine, you want to say something, Rick? Sir?
Bill, you're saying one?
It would be one.
Okay. Yeah, there you go, that's your answer. But again, we've been getting bids from several, so we have the choice. Okay?
I have a question. Are we supposed to wait
Wait.
for questions?
No, you can question. I have no problem asking questions.
If you're negotiating a contract on the basis of a number of residences, and yet the opt-out comes after that, might not that number change?
It probably would, but no, come to think, I think it should be fixed at this point. Once it fits in, I suspect we'll fix the bid. There are people who can't actually join. They've already bought a supplier. I was in a meeting early today, and I think the 7 members, one was already purchased electricity and gas for a couple of years at a reduced rate. Some people are not in the system, like you are in Buckeye Rural.
Like the cooperatives.
Ulster
has got their own municipal.
Microphone, Chris? Microphone?
Here you go.
Basically, yeah, certain people aren't involved. I'm looking over here at Bill Bradish, who's also here. He's representing Palmer Energy, which works with the County Commissioners Association of Ohio. And Bill might be able to answer some of our technical questions if we can't answer them.
I can address this one real quick. It's a very good question. When it goes out to bid, the suppliers have pretty much
passes the ballot, I believe we get a list of all the people who have already bought energy from a supplier as well. So, you know, we can say there's 64,000 people in the county and city included, but some of them have already bought energy. Some, I don't think any particular township or village has bought one as an aggregate. But there are organizations that have actually, you know, that have now already contracted for several years. They could break contracts. Most of the contracts have penalties though. Do I need that in? Go for it.
Well, and as on a county level, other municipalities are going to, if they want to participate in a county-wide pool, they're going to have to give the county authority to do that as well. So people in Albany, people in Nelsonville or Coolville or Amesville, all those communities would have to give the legal authority to the county to be in the pool.
Anything else on this one?
And they do that via the vote.
Yes, this is part of the vote. No?
I don't think so.
Yeah, wouldn't we go to
They would still have to go to ballot.
Per
And then-
corporation.
And then after, if they're incorporated, all incorporated have to have a separate ballot, okay?
New ring.
And then once it passes, then they would decide whether to join pool or one or not.
Okay, so it would have to be, each city would have to put it on the next cycle, primary cycle? Okay. Warren, you have a question?
Yes. Is Ohio University buying into this, or they already have taken their money and gone elsewhere?
My understanding is they have a separate amount of energy. They have a separate rate because they're such a large consumer. The way I understand it, they would not be part of the pool. And my awareness of this is that they are actually fully expected to be generating some electricity with the new power plant they're putting together. They'll have a cogen system out there. And I know my service safety director approached them and said, can we buy energy from you? And they can't. So there is a certain separation between the organizations at this point. I think they probably have the authority to purchase it themselves as a state entity, and they might have done that already.
Because they're probably one of the larger users, and it would certainly benefit everybody if they were in the pool.
Yes, if they were part of the pool, we could have that conversation with them, but again, I think they're getting a good rate already. And I think they fully expect to be able to generate their own electricity along the way with the new, the replacement of the power plant. At least that's what the last schematics I've seen of it. And I'm not in the nitty gritty of it, but we're asking them for power at this point, saying, can you give us some of theirs? I think it's going to be gas generated, et cetera, et cetera. More questions, quick, before we switch. Go ahead.
Yes, I already looked into some of the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I only have one option to opt into this?
I know. You want in?
Yeah. Your probably best bet is to wait for your contract to expire, find out what the timetable is on that. The alternative is to find out what kind of penalties exist. Looking at the charts, it's almost like, I think, $10 per month of contract breaking, and some are flat fees. So it depends on who you negotiate with. Okay.
I think I heard you mention that other municipalities or villages will have to have a separate authorizing ordinance to enter into agreement.
Yes.
And I think it's been, well, if you look at the Board of Elections website, the sample ballots for each of the villages and municipalities actually include the language on the ballot. So there'll have to be, from what I'm understanding, a separate yes or no, like an ordinance passed in Nelsonville, to enter into agreement.
I think what I'm hearing is a disagreement on that. I think it has to be a standalone election cycle. So it's nice to say, yes, everybody in Nelsonville voted for it, but they were voting on the question of the county level and not the city of Nelsonville, incorporated city of Nelsonville.
Which is still possible.
Well, and things might change because, you know, I'm a new commissioner. I went down to the Board of Elections. I was like, look, I want to get this on the ballot. Board of Elections, ladies, I love you. What can you help me with this? And they're like, okay, we're on it. And, you know, they have been calling the Secretary of State, making sure everyone's I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Well, you know, it might not need to be on the ballot, or it might not supposed to be on the ballot in certain precincts that aren't incorporated. So that's just found out about that today. You know, nothing, you know. But we're rolling with it, and you know, I don't have the prosecutor's analysis of it, but I'm watching Bill over here, who's done this in a lot of communities, and he's, you know, he's going.
Let me clarify real quick. The county-wide ballot applies to only unincorporated areas. The townships, all the townships. If you're at all the residents and small businesses of the township, that's the county-wide ballot. Any incorporated entity has to have their own individual ballot. That's per Ohio code. Okay, that's why the city of Athens has their own ballot. If Nelsonville wanted to get in, they would have to have their own ballot for being incorporated. Obviously, it'd be too late for November. But the countywide ballot only applies to the unincorporated areas.
Okay, so to repeat what Bill said was, the unincorporated areas are included in the county issue 2. If you're incorporated, you're falling out of it. And of course, that doesn't mean you can't do an opt-in, but it's more entirely. So this is how it is. Okay. And of course, that means the planes is included. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question is about renewable energy credits, if you've already sold them.
A little louder, please.
My
Question is about renewable energy credits.
If you've already sold them to AP, does that lock you into AP?
I have no idea. You're talking about what your energy credits from, you're with a supplier that's doing renewable energy, or?
No, solar panels, if you sold your renewable energy credits to AP for a rebate.
Probably would not be eligible.
Okay. You know, we had that meeting, I had questions about that. What happens if you're a generator of solar panels, and how does that work now that you're supplying? And we did not reach a resolution on that. It's a total different animal. I mean, at that point, you're an energy supplier. Do we negotiate with you? Can you supply everything for the city? Yeah. Go ahead.
Is there any overall regulation of these things in Ohio anymore?
Yes, there is. I would go.
It looks at everything, I mean, isn't there one place that you can find out the answer?
PUCO. If you get this flyer, there's a link in it. It's it's PUCO. It's on the third front page on it. It's basically the second bullet down. PUC.ohio.gov. PUC GIS aggregation electric. That's the map and location of communities that do it. But you can wander around in that PUCO site and find quite a bit. I'd also recommend, if you're going to go and start searching on that, I'd also recommend going to the Ohio Consumer Council's site as well. They have a nice flyer on aggregation as well. So there's a wealth of information out there. Some of it can be confusing, but we're trying to work our way through it. Okay, let's hold on. We only got 12 more to go or something. Okay, qualified bidders. This has to do with, there is a certified list of qualified bidders. You can find that in the PCO. It's a list of ones who can negotiate for the AEP system, so to speak, or grid, I believe. Again, these are the ones we go to, and it's no, again, from my point of view, it's no bit different than I'm bidding for a road repair. I would go to all the people who do pavement, who are certified to do pavement, or qualified to do pavement, and I'd say, can you fix this road for X amount? And at that point, they come to me. So that's what we'd be going to, is a list that's pretty much dictated by the Public Utilities, system there. Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. They have a list that's been vetted. Eligibility. Okay, this has to do with the people who can't actually get rate reductions. You can see that basically this people who are on the percentage income payment plan, as well as those who have actually sold it already. Okay, we can read that, what's going on there. We will get a list. Once it goes to the ballot, the companies will give us a list because they'll tell us who's in and who's out. Enrollment. Okay, there you go. Pretty much straightforward. You automatically enroll it. That's why they call it the opt-out. It takes an active you to do that. Grace period around 21 days. I think that's not necessary, we could lengthen and shorten it. But again, the idea is if you don't want to be part of it, you can jump out of it. If we write into the bid, no penalty, there would be a penalty. I think that's the way we're going, just because it is a large, population, and we're trying to help everybody out. Our hope is that we can reduce the cost of energy at this point. Questions? Go
Would
ahead.
the opt-out period be a one-time, or is it like each year there would be an opt-out period?
Probably it depends. If we don't put penalty in, you can opt out anytime. That makes it most companies I see, from what I see in terms of the apples to apples chart, most of them don't like to see that happen. On the other hand, it depends on, every year would depend on the length of the contract. Most contracts I've been reading looks about 3 years. I don't think I've seen anything over 5.
So it's per contract period.
Yes, but again, if there's no penalty, you can say, I want out, I don't like what I'm seeing. Go ahead.
Per Ohio code, no matter what the length of the contract is, you can always opt out every 3 years, no matter what the contract period is.
Okay, there you go. Man knows his stuff. Chris?
And so if the city signs up for a 3-year contract, let's say that,
Mhm.
and then they say, and we've signed up, and we're committed for a year to a contract, does that mean, and so we have to be knowledgeable about it and make sure we tell you, or the city, to opt out, right?
I'm not sure what you mean.
You've already got a personal contract?
Yeah, yeah.
You won't be on the list.
So we won't even be on the list
You
again.
won't be on the list.
But then, say when the year's up, can we opt in?
Yes.
I believe so.
Okay.
And you do that by calling the supplier, not you.
Okay, go straight to the supplier.
Yes.
Don't call us. Call us supplier. And again, okay, go ahead, Carol.
Why would anyone want to opt out if being part of the group gives you cheaper electric rates?
That's a good question. Actually, this is why it's a public hearing, not a forum. We couldn't really find anybody who's,
No, wait, I've got,
go ahead.
He's got a scenario.
because I can do it on my own, I don't need the rest of you, or I don't need government to do it for me. That's the number one reason that I've heard from people. And, but, I mean, personally, I think this is a great opportunity to cooperate, and if you look at the organization of, say, cells or our body, you'll see that as things evolve, they get more complicated, and it involves things cooperating together. And I think that, it's going to be, for you to thrive, you have this option to cooperate with people in your community. And, you're going to get a better deal than you could get on your own, number one. And so you're going to save money as a resident, and then some of that money, it's going to go back into local government too. So if a municipality doesn't want any local money in their coffers, they don't have to do this. If they don't want to save money for their residents, they don't have to do this. But I think the municipalities that are looking out for their citizens and for their budgets, this is a great option.
I see Ferry's question. Go ahead.
I think at least once a week I get a mailing from a different organization, and sometimes they're not in Ohio, but who tell me how great they are and how good they are in anything. I just write in the shredder because I don't believe any of them. But
Right.
one of the things that is so interesting is that AEP has its own sub thing. I find that incredible.
This has to do with the structure. Talking to the local representative, John Buck of AEP, is that they're slowly dividing up the company into different portions. They have actually an AEP retail supplier, so they're really not that worried about competition. That basically AEP's working on just the grid, the distribution and transmission of electricity at this point. They're going to concentrate on that. They're going to let the other part kind of freewheel, including their own branch that comes out. Yes, I'm aware of this. I get the letters the same as you.
And I'm trying to figure out how they even have a right to do this.
Well, that's because the regulations have changed. The landscape has changed in terms of how energy is done. It's been split up. The actual generation has been split away from the actual transmission. The wires, it's like, okay, remember, Verizon split off went to Frontier. Really what they were doing at that point was working on Verizon's going to a cell, Frontier's going to the landlines and the rural districts. That was the intent of doing that. And is wise or not, that's a philosophical thing, but again, they don't mind. The conversation I've had with the AEP people saying, how can you let this happen? They don't really care. They're going to concentrate on the power lines. Because they're going to get your per dollar. If you look at your bill, there is a cost for that.
So we get 2 bills a month?
No, you'll get, it'll all be on one bill.
And what do you pay?
You pay AP at that point. Okay, if you look at your bill, you're going to see a line for generation. That's the portion we're looking at. I look at mine, and I think the latest bill I have is about $30 or something like that. I think 12 of that is for the generation of electricity. The rest of it is everything else: transmission, distribution, demand charge, taxes. So they don't mind parsing this out, because then they don't have to worry about running the power plants on the river. They can buy it from. They're going to be in the market buying it. They're going to just transmit it.
But they're going to take the money.
Yes. Energy costs money. Yes.
No, I mean, going back to, it's not, I lived where, under this form for years in Pennsylvania, our boroughs had, from PP&L, I don't know, since the 40s or something. And we did have the best deal in the boroughs in Oklahoma County, if anybody ever had. I don't know if with deregulation, it's just some other words for that.
Could be the structure within the state. I saw a question over here. No? Okay. Steve?
Just a simple one, I think I want to follow up with the question that was just asked, and it was a question of possible 2 bills. Let's say Athens, if this goes through, goes with a different aggregation broker aside from ADP. Would then it be 2 bills, one for power transmission line maintenance?
No.
Okay.
Actually, we were looking at our energy profile for perfection about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We started going through our bills and found out that some of the departments had actually been buying electricity from Integral, I think it is. In other words, we didn't know it. They didn't have the authority to do it, but they did it anyway, which is, I guess, smart of the department head to do, I guess. But it was kind of shocked because the AP bill is all the same. It's just that little line there said where the energy is coming from was a different name than AP. And again, part of the thing is that, sometimes things get discoordinated and it's legacy stuff I deal with.
Right now, the county, all our buildings are part of the aggregation program of the CCAO, the County Commissioners Association, and we're paying like less than 5 cents a kilowatt hour. And we just get one bill. It says AEP at the top.
Can we commit to that?
Well, I mean, that's what we're talking about.
We're hoping to get
We're all
better,
going to meet again.
because we're just talking about the county buildings. Once we start talking about the entire county, we're hoping for better rates. It's like volume. Shop at Walmart, get volume.
Yeah, and right now, most people on AEP are paying about 8 cents a kilowatt hour, so we're talking 8 down to 5 is the goal. So it's going to be significant savings for residents.
Okay.
Okay.
Mark?
Right now, we have option through AEP to get a portion of our electric through sustainable sources. Is that going to be part of the bidding process?
Yes, I think we're going to put that in there. We're going to shop around, okay? I think, knowing Chris and knowing myself, we like to see it as green as possible,
But you have to balance with the cost. And I think that would be part of our package along the way. I know AEP, when I went to the Apples to Apples, they actually said they have 100% wind power for the same price as the other one. I would want to dig into that a little bit more.
Like right now in Ohio, there's been some innovative RFPs out there. The city of Cincinnati did 100% renewable energy. The city of Cleveland did 100% renewable with, I think, 30% within Ohio renewable energy. We've had some conversations with a guy named Nolan Mosier, who works for the Ohio Environmental Council, and he sent us a bunch of ideas. And one of the things that he sent was something about energy efficiency. That's not been in any RFP yet. And then, when I was starting to think about it, if I was getting my renewable energy, I want to get it from my community if I can. So my goal would be to get something that would create an economic development engine in our community, generating more renewable energy. And I personally would like to have a diversified portfolio. some solar, some micro hydro, some waste energy that, so I think there's a lot of things that we could work into it. I've never written an RFP though. I participated, and so it's going to be a blend. And I'm not, I worry about going too far over to the cost. You're going to have to weigh what's going to cost to do that renewable energy. I'm pretty much in agreement. I don't know to what level. I think that's part of the discussion we're going to end up with. And again, we're going to shop around. That's the whole intent of it. Heather?
Well, sounds like Chris addressed it some. I'm concerned because biomass gets renewable energy credits, burning trees gets renewable energy credits, and burning waste is also very polluting. So, I think when we talk about renewable, we need to be really clear what that includes.
I understand, yes.
So, we were saying a while back that people who live in the incorporated areas of the county, Nelsonville,
Ainsville.
Albany, Ainsville, okay, all the towns, they won't be able to vote on this?
They will be able to vote on this, it sounds like.
This November?
But they will have to have a second round of voting, the way I understand it.
So they'll vote like next year? Then will they still join this somehow?
Yes, yes. We'll work it out, yes.
See what happens, yeah.
It's pretty wild and
I mean, really, one way you could look at it is if it was on the ballot everywhere in the county and we voted for it and it was yes, the idea is that the incorporated areas had already voted on it and they said yes to it. They just needed to, those municipalities need to cede their authority to the county. We'll see if that is going to work out.
Okay, back to the I guess, kind of dialogue here. This is what your charge would look like again. What you see in many cases is that you have a supply charge and transmission charge service. And I can pull up my PDF of my bill and Roosevelt Tower, just for interest there. But let's keep going here. Okay. Distributors, A and B involvement. Is this a distributor? Okay. They collect bills, distribute electricity, do not generate. Again, this is what, the complexity of civilization goes that you have specialization. What you're seeing is an overall specialization of services here. They'll distribute it, they'll fix the things. If there's a complaint with the electricity not going through, that's who we call up. Says serves as a backup supplier in case the other company doesn't come through. The idea is that we hopefully make the right choices, that's not a problem.
Anything else you want to add?
Questions? We have many questions, I'm sure of that. We'll deal with questions along the way there, huh? So, questions. We'll try answering.
Has the city already decided to join the county? Or after, assuming votes pass, could the city decide to go with a different supplier than the county?
We will probably go with the same supplier. We're in the process of working out a contract or a memorandum of understanding to work together. Again, it comes down to buying power. We'd be foolish to say, let's do this countywide and citywide and go separate ways. I think, that, again, it comes down to the aggregation of people and households. And again, this to me is a good thing. Chris talked about share, right now, if you go from case I've gone down, it's shared services, but it's also pooled resources and how we can improve what we're going to do by having 60,000 people here.
And will that include government buildings too, like the city?
I think it's for a small, it's actually for small commercial and residential, so it would not include us. And we're on a different rate scale. I know when we looked at those energy rates, we had about 5 different scales depending on what we used, the quantity we used. We have a good 20 meters out there. And realize we've got this one with the solar panels, which is decreasing now, but you look at the wastewater treatment plant, the water treatment plant, as large users of electricity they are different, they get a different rate than city building and the water administration building. So there's a little hodgepodge. And when we're doing this, we also realize some buildings are, we got 1 meter for 2 buildings at times, which makes it difficult when we're trying to parse out which department gets paid, charged. That's my problem, that's not your problem.
This might be a suggestion and a question. Chris, I know you haven't done an RFP before, but in doing an RFP, you have an opportunity to create policy. You have an opportunity to say that the winning response will score higher if it hits these kinds of things. We talked about an inclusion of renewable energy sources, and there are other opportunities to write into the scoring of the RFP policies that people might want to adopt. And I'm wondering, are you guys aware of the opportunity for doing so and the limits against which you'll bump into, which I imagine has to do with the Ohio Revised Code?
Okay, yes, I think that's what Chris is talking about. If we go with, the conversation has gone to brown energy versus green energy, and what does that look like? What is the cost difference? Do we want to add a conservation element to this? The conversation we've had with our our helper, who's not here unfortunately, who's knowledgeable about this stuff. She actually, as I say, as an intern, she mentored through this in Illinois. She talks about how, the charge for the brokers and the people who actually do all the work here is a percentage of the kilowatts. So they take a little bit off the top. That usually, when it's all said and done, is a large amount of money. The question is, do we want to put some aside for a conservation program? That's where we started talking policy. And again, conversation I had with Chris and Roger and Jessica is that, well, really we're talking about trying to get the ballot issue, concentrate on the ballot. After that, we'll have these philosophical discussions because I think they're important. Where we want to go, how we want to go is important. And I think it's important to everybody in the county how we do it too. I would not say we're going to just do it by fiat and run this direction. That's why when we talk about 2 required public hearings, I think we're going to require more than just 2 required public hearings. We're going to have a good philosophical discussion where we want to go, how we want to do it. The low-hanging fruit for energy basically is conservation. You know that, I know that. Do we want to put that in place? An example of this, when 10 years ago when I went up to visit my mother in Massachusetts, she shows me a desk lamp, bedside desk lamp. She says, the electric company gave us that lamp. It has a compact fluorescent bulb on it. That's why they gave the lamp. The lamp was to get you to use compact fluorescent bulbs and also save them from building another power plant. Well, I'm serious. And then I went up there the next year and they're selling compact fluorescent bulbs at $1. And I said, whoa, what's going on? I bought 10 of them and brought them back here. And I did it every year for a while. Mostly because when you get down to it, that was being subsidized by the power company too. That's policy right there. Do we want to do that? That's a discussion we're going to have.
In anticipation of that, it seems like the devil is usually in the details. Here, there might be a lot of angels in those details. And it would be really interesting at one of those public hearings, some homework had been done to give us the opportunity for knowing what the limits are for what's doable and what's not doable, writing into the RFP policies that the community might want to adopt.
I can forward you some emails from Nolan Mosher, who's a lawyer who this is what he does, energy work, and he works for the Ohio Environmental Council. He's got the history and what's going on in Ohio, so I can forward that to you. You can check that out. But like what we're just talking about here is voting with our dollars. And I think this is a great opportunity to create the world that we want by voting with our dollars
again, the city did vote on that in 2009. You're aware of that. I've had this conversation before. I could be. I was waiting for the landscape, and really, right now, I'm very leery of natural gas in all its forms. And that's just me, and I could bring it up to council and see if they want to do a policy change or they want to initiate it. Mostly because the implication of what's going on. The tsunami of hydrofracking is scaring me a lot, and therefore I'd like to see all the stuff evaporate, except I know that would affect the greenhouse gas. So I know what you're saying. Yes.
Just for your experience, we have a guarantee savings on the natural gas bill. And you probably may not be equally impressed with my natural gas vehicle that I've driven for the past year.
Okay, yeah, I think there's somebody out here with a volt somewhere too. Go ahead, behind you.
As we're talking about local empowerment, local economic engine, has there been any talk on incentives to help local citizens become energy generators? Did they help fill that, or is that a separate part of all of this?
I don't think we're there yet, but I guess that's where that's where I'd like to see us go. But, step one is, we need to pass this, and then, the next steps will be getting our RFP together where we can accomplish some of those goals.
A minute ago, you mentioned something about an MOU, an agreement between the city and the county in terms of being able to negotiate and look to our aggregation, who we might go with, or who, collectively, who we may go after. And with if most contracts are 3 years in nature, I would assume we're going to have a flood of individuals coming to us, or aggregation brokers with bigger, better deals and whatnot. And so I guess a legislative question is that then who would be vetting through those and identifying who might be the best for our community and county, and who would be the ultimate decision maker on that process?
I think, at this point, that's part of the MOU, how we're going to vet this, how we're going to do it.
I could probably ask for a show of hands how many people are brokers and consultants in this room here. Does anybody want to raise their hand to say their authority here? Okay, so we got 3 of them right in the room. So you can actually quiz them on the side and say how this works. Again, any agreement, contract usually has to go to council. My assumption is that there would be a board put together, hopefully who wanted to work this, the actual administration of it from day to day. I was going to cede it to the county because they have a population in aggregate bigger than us. But again, it's something negotiable at this point. The discussion about actually trying to do inducements for energy, local energy. We started that conversation and we said, as Chris would say, baby steps, one step at a time. Just take a piece of the puzzle and where we go from there. Our student helper, Jessica Demore, actually says we should have a lot of this in place already. So we're having some of that discussion, but it's nowhere near even draft stage at this point. Just because November's coming up, and then at that point we have to act on it. We know most of the steps. We're still learning about the other steps. Realize if we decide it's too much, we either go out for a contract and have somebody walk us through it, or we throw up our hands and say you're on your own. But I don't think we want to go that route, just because I know his enthusiasm is as great as mine. A screenshot of what PUCO looks like. Basically, this is their website, all explanations of aggregation. This is just, as I say, a screenshot. There's another whole page of behind you. I would encourage you to go to the websites, check these things out. I did, I think, put a bill, let's see, from my bill here. This is my bill right there. You can see the generation service in yellow is what you expect to see. You'll also see at the bottom of the thing here, they also talk about price compare, what I need to look at. If I go to that apples to apples section there and look at that. Again, so if I look at my bill right here, this is the part that we hope to reduce. Everything else, well, that's what AP gets its cash for. And you can see, I guess, I don't know if I use too much or too little electricity. It's hard to say sometimes.
You have a question, sir?
Go ahead.
I have one more question. A while back, you mentioned something about conservation. So, conservation really is important.
fact, if you think about it, if we reduce the charges and the cost of your electricity, some people won't conserve, they'll leave the lights on longer. You know, it's a question of we're trying to structure ourselves so we can think about this stuff. We can actually, again, part of the list is how to do it with sustainable energy sources, because we're going to buy that electricity one way or the other. I did not scan in the other thing that comes with AP is that little pie chart that shows how much is coal, how much is hydro, how much is nuclear. I did not scan that, but you can look at, you get it every month. They talk about the ups and downs of it, and so how to change that mix. So when we buy something, you see it's a little bit different pie than what AP is selling us. This is a map that's, again, I put the website up here, I kind of pasted it in there. This is all different participating cities, villages, etc. You can see Athens over here. Athens is nowhere near it. You can see most of northern Ohio has got some zones where there's township villages or cities. And I just point this because, again, this is on the website. You can look it up. It's an interactive map. You can click on that and you can download pieces of information for how they structured it, what they went through, the certifications. I think I was looking down south here, so I looked at hockey. I think there were 4 PDFs on their list of it. Again, still within the PUC list. Again, that's in blue up there. I think I couldn't download one of the 4, but it basically it shows me some of the process, the certification process, the application, and some of it, and I could get the bid. I think I pulled Cleveland's bid, and I think Cincinnati, as you said, went all green. I was trying to find a primary source for, I think I found a newspaper article that they were saying 40% of their electricity costs from generation. I could not find a primary source for that, which would be Cincinnati itself. I just found a news article, which of course, not to, done the news, but sometimes the information is not accurate. And I was just giving you this because the information is out there. Like we're trying to be, like we're good consumers when we go to the store and start shopping. It's our responsibility to try doing a good job for you, but it's also your responsibility to as I say, ask us the policy questions. Ask us the questions, and if we don't know, we'll get back to you, or we'll find an expert or two.
This is not a question. I want to applaud the idea put forth by Chris that citizens cooperate, whether that's in getting reduced cost for electricity or looking to develop various things in our community to help move through this process. And I would think that since Hocking is already doing it, and if it passed, there would be a possibility of working with Hocking County and maybe looking to other surrounding counties.
Well, Bill over here from Palmer Energy is part of the County Commissioners Association. And how many meters are you guys aggregating approximately?
About 800,000.
About 800,000. So we could possibly, it might be the best bet for, if this all works out, we'll join their pool.
Okay.
I'm also in this local government innovative fund project with Morgan County, Perry County. We've had these kind of discussions as well. So exactly, the more that we can learn to cooperate, the better off we might be.
Okay, and this is one of the PDFs I pulled off of the UCO site for the county.
Basically, this is a notice that they sent out, First Energy sent out for the Hocking County aggregation. You notice down here they talk about the price. This was done obviously 2012, and again they're doing it to 2014. This is what they're doing, guaranteed price for this. And again, if I understand, this is what they sent out. If I scroll down along this way, and I'm sorry about the way it's structured here, but this is, again, I was doing my homework along parallel with our assistant there. This is the part you cut off and say, I don't want to do it. So the concept there is if the vote passes, you put something together, you don't like it, you'll get something like this, and you cut it out and send it to us, or put it around a brick and throw it at us. I think you're supposed to mail it. Sorry. So again, we're learning this. We've got good intentions. We've got good hopes. And do you have more questions, I assume? Many more questions. How would you?
Okay, you mentioned creating jobs. How do you think that this program
Turn that microphone back so we can hear the question.
Okay. She asked about how can this really create local jobs? And my vision, I guess, is that energy supplier, we're looking for an energy supplier. We want a certain portion of our energy dollars that we're spending to go back into community projects that do renewable energy. And or whatever, we can define it farther. We can spend pages and pages if we want. Only this kind of energy. And then if anybody bites on this, we can we'll reel it in, big fish here. And then, okay, some way or another, we'll have a mechanism. Say we'll have some sort of incentive program or grants will be available. You want solar on your house, there's going to be a subsidy there to make that happen, I guess is the vision I've got. But we'll have to see.
Why don't I run this back so everybody can hear questions more clearly? So who'd like to-
Jim had a question back there.
Yeah, I can speak pretty loudly anyway. But here you go. We have we know when election is, but guess your timetable for this taking effect.
I think it takes about a year at least.
It's going to be, the most rapid time frame would be 4 to 6 months. That would be if you already had everything in place and ready to go.
But we talk a lot, so maybe a year.
Yeah. To actually see the savings flow, that's fair. It's probably
Speak for yourself.
Yes.
It's more a comment, back on the jobs piece. So that's one of the policy parts
Yes.
that you're talking about. But if I'm right, part of what it would mean if we go that route is that the consumer would pay a little bit more in order to generate that pool for job creation, energy subsidy, whatever. Rather than if we didn't do that, we might get an eensy bit lower rate.
Yeah, Cincinnati, they had a lot of discussions about this, and they decided to eventually go 100% renewable, and it wound up actually not costing them more. So that was their experience. But yeah, the goal, now, and I've heard of other communities, you can have options. I think there's a lot that we need to investigate, and I think we just got to take this one step at a time, because there's going to be a lot unfolding for us to get to the final destination. So I think, I can sit up here and speculate and pretend or tell you stories I've heard, but, I think it's just going to take, step by step to get there. Yes, Fred?
Chris, if I can share a story with you. In our program, we have what's called community reset, where we give a certain amount back. City of Pickerington, I think, did it great. We gave them back a little over $12,000 annually. They took $12,000, matched it with a grant. So 1,000, the city kicked in 1,000. They took 1,000 from the community investment, and they gave grants to the local business people to fix up the exterior of the building, with the idea that if you fix up the exterior of the building, that's going to drive more traffic to your business, which in turn generates more tax dollars. So they did that for 2 years, and it was very, very successful.
Yeah, and me personally, one of the topics I campaigned on was energy. And it's like energy touches everything that we're doing all the time. And, if we can bring conscious thought to our energy usage, we have a lot of power, and so, my vision is that we have any of the savings goes right back into energy development topics. Because every dollar that we save with energy efficient light or whatever, that's more money staying in our community. And if we buy it locally or have it installed with local work, then we're generating economic activity by saving energy at the same time. George?
How much can a group of aggregate like this, how much power would they have, or leverage would they have to try to get things developed, like the solar array that was proposed for the old Wilds area a couple
is actually one of the ideas that Nolan Mosher, that I mentioned a couple times now, a lawyer for the Ohio Environmental Council, said that, you know, that could be written into an RFP as well, and it could potentially, you know, jumpstart some big projects like that called Turning Point over in Guernsey County. You know, I thought about that, and, you know, I think that's a good idea, but I think a better idea for me is to keep our renewable energy production growing right here in Athens County myself.
And just to add to that, if you remember 4 years ago, 5 years ago, Aggregation was trying to put together a revolving loan fund for solar panels on people's roofs. We legislated, we lobbied Debbie Phillips, Jimmy Stewart, to actually put that in code where we could actually start an assessment process on that. We pursued money from the American Reinvestment and Restoration ARA funds, stimulus money. We didn't get it. It kind of fell apart because the idea is that you could, in theory, have a revolving loan fund to actually put solar panels on people's houses. This could be a component. Now that's way off the subject of ballot issues, and again, that's policy again, which is part of the discussion that we will really need to have. Probably most of you have been to meetings, fracking meetings, anti-fracking meetings. I think in all cases, most of the time, the first thing I'm going to say is that we're energy addicts, we're energy junkies. And we're using up more than we ever can make right now as an individual. The question I have at that point is, how do we make our addiction to energy to be less detrimental? And to me, reducing the price, to take off one hat, doesn't really spur conservation. But at the same time, to make it possible that we could actually look at local use, renewable sources, sustainable sources, to me, that this opens up the possibility. And again, we're back to policy, as you know, which is always going to be very difficult to actually parse out and say, how is it going to work for us? But I think these are little steps. These are the first things we want to do. We want to say, let's get our buying power. Let's not work individually. You know, we can make those deals. This is the apples to apples chart. This is a PUC here. You can sit there, you can scroll down, you can say, this is the savings you have. You notice it says 100% wind product through May 2014 here. So it's a little bit more expensive per kilowatt right there, for wind, for energy. Look who's selling it too. That's the other branch, as you say. They split off, they don't care, they're ready to go. There's other ones here, you have a whole series of them here. This is online as well. You can see it's up there. Well, actually, that's I took a screenshot. I did ACL shot of it. But this is, you can find on PUCO. It's easy to find. You can go out there individually, buy it yourself, purchase it yourself. We're trying to get the buying power together. It's no different than a buying club. Say we're going to get it on cheap.
And, you know, this kind of development, I was just reading about Paulding County up in northwest Ohio. I don't know if everybody saw that article about all the wind farms they have now. It's been a huge boom for their county budget. And so this was the first time that they got their checks and they were giving everybody raises. You know, so this stuff, you know, really does make sense in more ways than one. You know, and on this topic, I did want to take a moment to introduce Roger Wilkins here. Roger has got this local renewable energy cooperative, and he's been kind of like my energy czar. We get together and talk about this stuff. So Roger's a great resource for you guys. You know, the low-hanging fruit is energy efficiency, though, and we all need to start there.
This is sample ballot from, I think, the Athens city, I guess. No, Ames Township, okay, yeah, right there. And again, this covers some of the, just so you know what it looks like. And again, it's not that I'm trying to push it, but I just, you know, so you know what is on the ballot and what we're talking about. I don't know if I have anything else I want to present. I'll take questions. We'll field more questions since it seems to be the case.
How does Buckeye Rural Electric fit into this pattern?
That's your.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately, I'm on Buckeye Rural Electric too, and I don't think we'll be participating.
So we can vote yes for it, but at this time, I don't think we'll be benefiting from it. And if you live in the village of Gloucester as well, it's another place that can't participate.
Can you opt out at some future date?
I don't think so, not at this time. I think that would involve some legal changes.
If you're in the cooperative, that's part of the PUC regulated, and that's PUCO regulated, and that is a deal of cooperative in its own.
Yeah.
And for Ohio code, this aggregation, this governmental aggregation cannot touch that.
But might they want to participate if they could get a lower price?
I think that would involve some like laws being changed, yeah.
I think they were federally financed, and therefore as a co-op, they're in a separate unit themselves, the way I understand it. I've had conversations with some of the other mayors in other counties about this. So there are different mixes out there.
Really quick, I did want to say something about, when I was talking about waste to energy, one of the things that I was talking about was a methane digester, which produces methane, which is natural gas. And it's produced with waste products, including things like the sludge from your wastewater treatment facility, organic matter. In Germany, there's 7,000 methane digesters, and I think there's less than 500 in America. And up in Columbus, they're running all their, it's one of the companies, it's called Quasar Energy, and they are running the CODA, Columbus Transit Authority, on that kind of natural gas. So that's what I was thinking about. And again, this is a screenshot of the Consumer Office of Ohio Consumer Council. That's one of the, I think that's the second to last link on the folder brochure. Again, that's a different slant on information, but it has some information that's worthwhile. So that's why I mentioned, because there are various sources of information out there just besides PCO, us anecdotally, and this is one of them. Questions? Go ahead.
So are you saying, if I'm correct, that this is going to be put on the November ballot, and then if it's voted for, then you'll have the discussions and figuring it out and all that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think the first step is we have to actually, one is come to an agreement with the county, which I don't think is going to be a difficult one. I think we're pretty much on the same wavelengths on that. The next thing after that would be actually get certified as an aggregator, I think, with the PCO, get a certification, put a bid out, and that's where the discussion comes, policy versus quality of electricity. And again, quality of electricity is always a question there. Low transmission seems to be always a problem when we have outages. Mr. Mosier, who I've mentioned many times now, and his...
I know that we scanned this stuff in and put it up.
Yeah, and he wanted to come, but we said, no, wait. But, he actually thinks that we could be like a real leader in the country with how we develop things. So, we have a huge amount of smart people in Athens. And, if we put our minds together, who knows what we can come up with. But I think that, to me, would be really exciting, is if, we could really demonstrate, maybe to the rest of the country, how, you could do this aggregation thing. And again, I believe Chris is going to be going around to all the libraries in the county. So therefore, if you have more questions on that side, you can always approach him. More than likely, I owe you guys at least one more town hall meeting, so we have plenty of time to beat this up as well. And I say that because I think I'm learning as I go along too, along with all the other things I have to do, like Halloween and homecoming and actually the budget. So I'm hoping for smarter, sharper brains to actually stick their arm in the water and create a stir. So I think there's some good possibilities here. I love Athens, and that's part of the uniqueness is we have a very smart population who will come across and tell us how this should be done. Well, I say that in a good thing because, we can come up with some good solutions here and some unique ones and some, as I say, cutting edge in that sense. Because we need to be thinking smarter than we are as a society. We need to be, and this is an opportunity. This is a chance to say, let's do something. Let's make it work for us, very specifically. If we can take out, and again, the conversation I'm having is that we can get a savings and we can put some aside for the conservation, for the other projects we wish to do. As Fred says, there's possibilities there.
And hopefully it will pass. If it doesn't, because, and the only reason I can think is that, we have a small selection of voters here today. A lot of people, what I understand is that they don't, if voters see something on the ballot, they don't understand, they just vote no because they don't understand it. You won't abandon it. I mean, you will continue to pursue this and inform the community and continue to.
There's several options you could do. We could actually replace it on the ballot. If we didn't stand together, we could stand alone. And each one of us pursue our own energy. I don't think that's the wisest thing to do. We can actually start synchronizing with the other incorporated cities at that point, if that's necessary to do. Explanation-wise, we can learn more, craft it better at this point. I think the Messenger had a good article this past week. I think there's opportunities to get the word out. On the back of the brochure, there's at least 3 contact points, myself, Chris, and Jessica. I will answer the questions. If not, I will pursue the questions and get your answers.
I'm worried about the people who aren't here, who don't.
I understand,
No.
yes.
We've got brochures if you'd like.
I'm going to take some, but I'm also thinking it may take a few rounds to get everybody on board to pass something like that. I mean, I'm hoping it'll pass now.
Bill, I think, give us some numbers, Bill.
Historically, this is, the ones that we've been involved in, it's passed the first time 95% of the time.
And we're a smart community.
And again, I know the gas aggregation passed without much of wear and tear. I do not remember I guess I'd have to go to Board of Elections to find out what the numbers were.
Do not prove me wrong and be in that 5%.
A uniqueness we probably don't want to have. Other questions? Yes, Francine.
I was ready to get here, but I have a question. It's not pertaining to electric. I don't know how to make an intelligent decision. I don't think with all these different, on the gas bill, it has, then someone comes around and wants to sign something to, sign up a thing. I need some guidance on what is the best gas.
Again, 2 things are happening. If this gets put on the ballot, what will occur is that will be doing that vetting for you. There are websites and as I say, there are consultants that will help you. The best thing to do is again, it's like any consumer type thing. You have to make a choice. You're going to buy a car. How do you choose what kind of car to buy? You have to do a little homework. There's always a question of credibility. There's always a question of all the facts and asking the right questions. Raj, you have something to add?
Yes, as Chris mentioned, we've been organizing a renewable energy consumer cooperative in this area, and that is a way, Francine, of helping all the members of our community band together and sort through all this energy-related information so that we don't individually have to face an overwhelming amount of information and regulations and things. So I would encourage you to join the co-op. That's what it's there for.
And how do we do that?
How do you do that?
We have monthly meetings at ACENet, the second Sunday of each month at 2 o'clock. Yes, at 2 o'clock, second Sunday of each month at ACENet. You enter through the Crumbs storefront, and we utilize their space and other space for our co-op meetings. And it's been going for about a half a year now, growing steadily, and it's designed exactly to help people first make the energy efficiency transition, and then to start producing our own renewable energy. So we should all consider joining.
So it's not this coming Sunday, you just had me.
We just had one.
So to help answer Francine's question, so there's this website here. This is electricity. Do they also have natural gas? So they have,
Yes, they do.
that's the consumer tax. And then
The PUCO has one too. If you go to their website, they have actually a little tab that says electricity and gas, and you can choose either one you want to look at. I don't know if it's in the mix.
All right, any other questions?
Do you have an idea of how many people in the county that are an unincorporated portion of and in the city that we might be talking about that could be affected by this?
15
About 15,000
households,
households.
yeah, so meters, yeah.
Okay, this is PUCO site right here. You can see there's a little tag for natural gas. And again, it covers all the different areas of utilities. That's what the PUCO does. And since aggregation is allowed in the state for gas and electricity, they're both covered. I'm just concentrating on that because that's on the ballot.
Christine?
I was just gonna ask if that's, if you have something like that on the city website, that directs people to that, if that's where you want us to learn about this, people who weren't here today.
We've got a link on the county's website, right at the bottom of the page, and you can go to all this information that's in there and all the links. And lots of the county.
I'm getting down to Scott over here. He's our web guy. He will put it on our city website. More than likely, we can actually put a PDF of the brochure in, which I don't have time to. Let me see if I can. Okay. Get it to Scott, and of course, that will have the links as well. All the links that are on the back of the brochure. And again, you can mosey around it. I put that in blue. I kind of pasted it in there, but that's quite a long one to memorize. But I would start just www.tco, Ohio Gov, and then work your way through. Okay. Jeff?
My question is, for the students who leave the dorms after the second year and move into student housing like Coates Run and University Estates, how are they measured in all this? I mean, that would be another 10,000 people right there.
Oh, you mean how, in terms of voting?
No, in terms of their electrical use.
What you'll find is a mix. Some apartment complexes, they actually pay utilities. Other ones, it's not rolled into the bill.
Okay, if it's rolled into the bill, then how is the landlord now billed? How do they opt into this or opt out, or are they exempt?
No, they'd be in the pool.
Even though they're a very large corporation?
They're not considered large compared to GE or AED. That's what you mean. And besides, I don't know if they'll really even pay attention to a certain extent. And I say that because most of the time it's a pass-through for them.
I think Bill.
I think you're talking about the dorms and everything.
No, I'm not talking about the dorms.
The individual housing outside.
I'm talking about apartment complexes, very large, 1,000 units.
They would be able to participate. They would receive the notices also, as long as they're not third-party buying at this point. Those numbers are in what was calculated.
Essentially, what you're seeing there is that, they are residential. And we're 74% rental, so we have to assume that they're going to be in the mix. And again, the savings will be hopefully passed on or not, if they're charging their students rent. Question?
So does that mean that all your students don't have a vote if they're living in the dorm for our ballot issue?
No. If the ballot is the ballot.
Okay.
Anybody who's a registered voter goes in there and hits the switch.
It's kind of like,
Okay?
they can't participate in the
Well, Chris is outside the aggregate system because you're on Buckeye Rural.
Right.
That was a question. Like I say, I'm on Buckeye Rural. I'm not going to be able to benefit. Why would I vote for this? And basically, just because more people in our community are going to benefit,
again, this whole idea of our local dollars staying local, so you're gonna save money for your neighbors, and that might come back to you, you know.
I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't a conflict and I would will vote for out.
Yep, yeah, I don't think there would be,
Okay. Or any of that.
yes, ma'am.
I know some students living in places where the electricity and gas are included, whether they live above like Subway or something. What if like that small business opts out, then the renter is opted out then too, because it's one complex, like, it's a gray area.
No, the rent.
Go back to the meter, whoever's meter and who's paying that bill, is in charge of that meter.
You know, one of the issues we sometimes see here is that there's a push to try getting rentals to be energy efficient. And there are landlords who say, yes, I want to put the insulation in my house, I want to double up the windows, I want to save electricity. There are certain sector of them that really don't care because that cost of heating that house, electrifying that house gets passed on to the renter. And that comes down to the renter being a choosy shopper saying, do I want to live in some place that the wind blows through, or do I want to have something more energy efficient? Do I replace my bulbs, you know? And again, it comes down to whether you're going to see the cost as a renter. If you don't see the savings, you don't have any vested interest in it at all. The landlord doesn't worry about it because it's a pass-through to the tenant. They're not going to. I mean, it comes up to the individual choice in that in many cases. Both shopping on the landlord level and the renter, and again, energy efficiency and conservation. And as I say, saving money would be one side of conservation, but also this is the aggregation is another aspect. Good. We got 10 more minutes before we get these out here.
Well, this would just be a suggestion. I mean, there's a vast difference between the number of students who are being billed for electricity and those who may be voters here. So, you know, I think that the onus of, if you really want this to pass, it seems to me, is educating those who are the voting students, you know, as opposed to those who pay the electric bills. I mean, both groups certainly, but if you want it to pass, you have to count on the student vote from students, for students to be understanding when they have student senate and what have you, so I think that's a lot of, you know, you can't just leave it on the city and county website and expect it to be enough if you really want to involve the student population.
We could probably approach the university, the time's getting short for that, but they have community assistants out there, the student housing areas, Mill Street, Stewart. We could probably approach them and see if they want to put it on their newsletter. I don't know how often the newsletter goes out. Realize a no vote is a no vote, a non-vote is a non-vote. So, and I say that because I've been in, any of the elected officials at the area, I've been in front of one of these dormitories saying, it's election day, and they said, what is that, or we don't care. I know, there's always spectrum. I mean, there's adults like that too. I mean, you know, there's ones that say, you know, it's a dirty business, I don't want to vote. I don't want to, you know, I know some people are actually taking their names off the register. I don't think they want to get jury trial involved in jury duty. But that's kind of, you know, how much you want to participate and how much you want to participate in our civilization is up to them. Participate. It's got some flaws, but it's doing okay. Essentially, again, there will be voters. It's really a very off year when you get down to it. Local elections, township trustees, what do we got?
City council.
Board, school board. We've got issues on it, but not a lot of vote. So how much engagement? We can try and engage them. We will, because I guess really democracy is trying to get everybody to participate. You know, we don't want people outside throwing stones. We want them inside doing this.
Are there additional brochures?
Did we use them all up? There should be some back there. A pile of them back there.
I got more in my truck.
And he's got more to drop. And I have some at City Hall, so if somebody wants to grab me, you can always go to City Hall until I run out. And you'll be at the libraries.
And if anybody wants to donate money to the Athens residents for electrical aggregation, then we had to create a PAC to print those.
Yeah, because you know, we can't spend city funds on it, we can spend county funds on it.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to kick in, let us know, because we have spent some money, we'll continue to spend.
I
some phone tag, but we actually haven't had a conversation yet.
I can probably have that conversation. I think I meet with Dr. Davis Thursday, so I'll check on that.
I'm just wondering if they've already entered into a contract with another energy supplier that they will be participating.
I would say probably, I mean, because like the county government, like, we're not gonna be able to be into it, because we just renewed our aggregation contract as it is too, so. But, you know, if things are rolling up along, who knows where this will take us.
And I know they get different rates just because of the size and what they're using, but I don't know if they can actually, are they at that level? I think there's an upper limit that you can actually consume and then before you pull out of the aggregation mix.
For this, it's 700,000 kilowatt hours a year.
Okay.
Anything below that, you can participate. There's a coalition of universities throughout the state, also, Mr. Mayor, that do this same sort of thing. And they're pretty sure they're probably already participating.
And all the local school districts are already in aggregation too, so this is not, this is like a really good idea that should pass, so I just want to say that, you know, just.
The actual savings then is really not in the number of total, it's the number of electric.
They may already.
Possibly. The
Well-
bigger the better. I mean, depends though. I mean, I think
Like,
that's.
sounds like there's a lot of meters that won't be able to participate.
Yes, but again, it comes down to, if I can save $1, and I can spend $1 locally, rather than give ADP or whatever companies out there, that means that dollar saves you. So if we can do savings in general, to me, that's a positive thing. And again, that sounds like a good trick question for the school board people. Are you guys aggregated? And don't do that to them. Please don't do that.
How much is your kilowatt per hour?
You, as a school board, you should know that. I hope they're not that in the weeds at that point. Other questions, because we're running out of low time. Questions? You want to add anything else? No. Okay. I'll take 2 seconds to say, again, I'm a member of League of Women Voters. I think it's important to be an educated voter. So I'm plugging for it because he doesn't want to say anything. But again, these are issues that will affect us in the future. I'm hoping that we do good choices. As a public servant, I serve everybody here. I serve as best I can. And again, we're trying to do the best we can for what we have and how we go about this. So if you have questions, you can, my email's on the back of the brochure, telephone number I think is as well. Not, you can always find me on city council. Yeah, the telephone number's right there. You can always go to the city website. We'll put this on the website as soon as you get the PDF of the trifold, so you can print it up yourself in glorious color if you want. Which is expensive. Anything else you want to add?
If anybody wants to help get this measure passed, you know, come up afterwards and let's get you involved. You know, I'd love to have it passed like 95%.
And this will be on streaming video at our city